Hey everybody, Nate here, and today I want to show you this build right here. It's called the Primo by GnarlyFPV. I've actually had this kit for a while, and so some of you have been asking me when I would get around to building it. Well, I finally have, and I've been flying this for the last 2 weeks or so, and I have to say, I absolutely love this build. I think Primo is a great name for it too, because the carbon and the 3D printed parts, everything about it feels premium. It's really well thought out, it's really well made, and it flies so good. I don't think I've had this much fun flying FPV since the time when I started making these. This is my Shutterbug 85 design. If you haven't seen this, check out the other videos on my channel. But I've made a bunch of these. This happens to be the one that I flew in that festival race. And I love these. I love both of these builds for different reasons. So in this video, I'm going to talk about that a little bit. I'm also going to break this one down and show you what comes in the kit and what electronics I chose to put on mine and how I tuned it. Mine is just 37 grams plus the weight of a 2S battery, which is fantastic. You get so much thrust from these props for the weight. You can fly this just about however you want. If you love this sort of thing as much as I do, then you might want to consider hitting that subscribe button and stick around because I've got more content coming up, more stuff I want to show you. That includes this, the 4K Beta 85X, and a 3-inch I've been playing around with. This is the Speed Racer Twig. And I've got a bunch I want to say about all of these different builds. And so stick around for that. But for now, this is the Primo by GnarlyFPV. Alright, here's everything that comes in the package. The frame comes like this with this piece already attached to it. The canopy is going to go on the top. You got a bunch of 3D printed options for batteries. These batteries are going to screw in through the threading right there in the bottom onto there. You got camera mounts, props, and screws. Everything you need. I have to say this frame is pretty nice. The corners are smoothly chamfered. You've got these recessed press fit nuts in here, so you're going to get a good connection with your screws. This piece is really well attached on there, just really well designed. It's only got 2 screws here, but that's all I usually use to save weight on the motors, and this little nub to help impact before it impacts the motor. The base plate alone is just over 6.3 grams. Here's the canopy. Everything except for the props, 11.3 grams. Here's the bi-blade props that it came with. And here's the tri-blade Emax props. These are the 2 camera mounting brackets, and they're designed to go in here between these 2 holes. This one, I'm not actually sure how this is supposed to be used because I don't have any cameras that mount in there. but I'm going to use this one. It's designed to go right on the back of a 14x14 camera like the EOS 2. if you take out the back screws in here, you can fit this on like that, and now you've got the screws in the right spot to mount in here. Be careful though, you don't want to let this open up because that might get dust on your sensor. I was pretty careful, but somehow dust still got inside. That's what causes these dots on the image. You may have noticed that. I later fixed it by opening the camera up again and blowing it out with some compressed air. I'm going to use the 2S all-in-one board by BetaFPV. This board is nice and light, although it does need an additional receiver. You can also see down here there's an opening for the USB connector to come through right like that. I'm going to mount it so that the plugs are facing down, and the connector is going to come through here, but you can see the only problem, these wires are going to hit the frame. I'm not going to use 2x1S, so I was going to remove these wires anyway. When I put on the 20 gauge wire, I'll just solder them to the top side so it comes out like that. Alright, here it is all put together. Isn't that cool? I've got 65mm 2-blade props on here. This is the Who Cares brand, which is sold by Pyrodrone. I really like these props, tons of thrust, they're super smooth, and they're super light. I think it's a good match for the KV of these motors. These are FlexRC 12,500 kV 1102 motors. I've used these motors before and I really like these motors. They're smooth and quiet and powerful. This is the same type of motor I used in my original 2S Whoop. If you remember this from a long time ago on my channel, there's probably a lot of different motors that you could use in the 1102 or 1103 size. It's super convenient if they can plug in here with these motor plugs. The FlexRC motors are not sold that way. They're sold with straight wires, but I don't know if you can see, but these wires, mine do have little extenders so I can plug and play. I switch parts around on my build so often, it is really nice to have those. But you could always direct solder, and if you did that, I would probably solder to the reverse side of those 3 pins right there. They also do sell a version of this frame that has the 3-hole pattern necessary for 0802 and 0803 motors. So I know a lot of people have done that. I'd love to hear what you're flying on your Primo or other toothpick style builds, what combination of props and motors and KV ratings works out well for you. There's probably several different recipes that would be great. Here you can see the power lead that I mentioned before. It is soldered to the top side of the flight controller, and I made mine nice and short. The battery is going to go in here, and this is just going to loop around and plug in like that. Like I said, the Primo comes with lots of different options for battery mounts. I thought I was going to use this one, which holds 300 mAh 2-cell batteries, or at least some of those batteries. But I ended up going with this Velcro strap like I do on so many of my builds because it's adjustable for different size batteries, 300 or 450, and even the 300 mAh batteries like this G&B battery. Some of them, you know, they do fit, but it would be super hard to get them in and out. So I really like this solution. These are actually way stronger than you would think, and they fold through here like this, and it goes like that. If you put this in place and then put the flight controller on top of it, it works really well, and I've just got some rubber pads on here. You can get these on Amazon, and there's a link down below. The first test flight that I did with this was in my house, just cruising around to see how that would go. I used this 300 mAh 2S battery and got 6.5 minutes of indoor cruising time. So this is actually quite efficient despite the high kV motors, although it does need more current if you really rip around hard outside. For that, I like to use 450 mAh batteries, and this battery in particular is exceptional. So how does a Primo like this compare to a Shutterbug 85 like this, or like this? Well, the weights are very similar. This one is just a few grams lighter, but it does have much larger props. When I fly these, I love the way both of these fly, but they do have different strengths and weaknesses. For flying around in my backyard, which is not super big, I feel like they both have similarly good acro performance, and I prefer flying the Shutterbug because I've got these hoops in here. I can push past brush, or I can bounce off of things. I can fly under chairs and really go for it because this really does give better durability. I almost never even dent the props on these builds, which is super great. An advantage of this is that once you get up to higher speed, which I can't really do in my backyard, but you could see it out at Die Hard RC. When you get to that kind of speed, the handling of this one is definitely better. It's got so much less drag. These whoop frames are kind of like a sail in the air when you're going that fast. So at high speed, definitely an advantage to this one. Just the way these fly is so good. Another advantage of the Shutterbug, though, is that these hoops do definitely improve turtle mode. Even in the grass, I can usually flip myself over with turtle mode. This guy, I could pretty much never take off again, even if I landed right side up, unless the grass was really short. These motors just have a hard time spinning up these big props if there's any amount of obstruction in there. So with this build, I did end up getting out of my chair to go pick it up a lot more than I would with one of these. As promised, here is the PID tune that I'm running on this. Credit to Kebab FPV. I found one of the tunes that he posted for a 12,000 kV 0802 build, and I started with that and adapted it. All right, I want to show you some more flight footage just because it's so much fun. But before we do, I want to mention that all of these parts and the batteries and things that I use are listed down in the video description below with links in case you want to purchase something for yourself. And for the first time on this channel, some of those links are now affiliate links, which means if you follow the link and I refer you to another site, then I get credit for that and I might actually make some money. That's not the reason why I was making this video or anything like that, but I do put a lot of time and energy into this channel. And so if you see something here that you like, then maybe that could be a cool way for you to show your support and maybe help me bring content like this to you in the future. So this flight footage that I'm going to leave you with is a complete flight with this 450 milliamp hour 2-cell battery. If you want to see how the battery holds up throughout the flight, then pay attention to that. Otherwise, just have fun. I hope this has been interesting to you. Happy flying.